one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. This gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2 3. 1 2 3. Finish.
Through all that turnover, through all that adversity, the one thing that's main 1,000% for certain.
Here we go again.
Height 6'9",
Wow.
weight 250.
Yeah.
Born to Gloria James in Akron, Ohio on December 30th, 1984. Really? And that is the reason, no matter how spectacular Kyrie is, and he's been spectacular, as long as I got him, I fear nothing.
He was born in a manger?
No, don't worry about it, Skip. She held him up because she knew he was going to be special.
There's no room at the end.
How many other people named named LeBron? I know a lot of Michaels. I know a lot of Irvings. I know Irvin Robinson that grew up in my hometown. I know a lot of Kyries. I know a lot of people named Larry. How many LeBrons you know? How many?
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free Smoke.
Look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing would admit to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo. If they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa Bars forever, like they decided to throw me under Slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Well, I tell you what, L, look, I give up, okay? When it comes down to Steph Curry, the light-skinned brother with the green eyes, I finally bow down to him, okay? He is him.
Welcome to another episode. I don't know why I couldn't get another out. Another episode of Kicking It with Saint. This is playoff time for the NBA, of course. Now, I wasn't tripping and stressing on not making too many NBA videos. I already knew I was going to get to that eventually. NBA playoff time. We're going to be making hella NBA videos. It's a 2-month span. It's that time of year. 2022-23 NBA playoffs. They are here. I'm here to break down and predict every single game. Every matchup. We'll get to the games when those happen. Of the playoffs, East and West. The one problem. 2 of the matchups haven't been decided, but I will also talk about those matchups as well because I'll predict who will win those matchups that take place on Friday to end the play-in. A play-in in which stats are not counted. So you have what you will, you do what you will with that. But Denver and Milwaukee do not yet know who they will play. For Denver, it'll either be OKC or Minnesota. For Milwaukee, it'll either be Miami or Chicago. Miami, Chicago. I'm taking Chicago to win that game. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan's daughter, bro. Shout out to DeMar DeRozan. Shout out to the Bulls for coming back and winning this game against the Toronto Raptors, who missed 18 free throws. 18 of them things. That's interesting to me. Because you would almost think free throws is like free points. Nobody defending you. You just standing there shooting a free throw. And you miss 18 of them things. You see, when you accrue a toll like this, eventually that toll, you have to pay it. And they paid the price of it with the game last night, because there ain't no way you miss 18 free throws and should win a game. That's insane. Shout out to Zach LaVine for getting it going in the second half. I'm not worried about DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan understands big playoff games, how to play in them and things like that. He was a star in Toronto for a long time. For LaVine, it's interesting to see if he can become, if they win against Miami, and I am picking him to beat Miami, if he can become more consistent, giving them 20 plus a night every game. Because, and I know some people will be like, well, you know, he's young, yada, yada, yada. Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic, and Trae Young done been killers in the playoffs from the moment they step foot in the playoffs. They are young. Been killers the whole time. So I'm not trying to hear that. Not to mention, if I'm none of them playing with a DeMar DeRozan. So with that being said, I'm very interested to see how Zach LaVine played throughout these playoffs. Now, I was watching Chicago last night, and the thing that's always interesting when you watch Chicago, at least for me, I know they're going to be a good defensive team. I like the addition of Pat Bev. My only thing with Chicago, and it's not necessarily Chicago's fault, is sometimes the offense looks so stagnant. They can't find a shot. They don't really shoot the three-pointer great. You know, DeMar DeRozan, the mid-range dude. You know what I'm saying? They like to attack the basket. So when they not getting calls, when shots not falling, the offense kind of looks stagnant, like they don't know really how to get a bucket. But I realize that's because their point guard isn't playing, and Lonzo Ball. However, if they can figure out a way to put together a great offensive game plan, I still like this Chicago team. If they could play to their highest capabilities, I like Vucevic. I like LaVine. I like Pat Bev and Alex Caruso and what they bring. I love DeMar DeRozan. I think it's a good enough team. I really do. Especially considering I'm not high on Miami. Until Miami realizes that you actually need to go out and get talent on a team. And that's no shot at the players that they have on this team. The fact of the matter is, and I see people taking shots at Jimmy Butler, bro. Jimmy Butler is the only reason Miami is relevant. So stop it. But to consistently go out, and I get it. Miami done been to an Eastern Conference Finals. They done been to an NBA Finals in the bubble. I get it. However, Miami, in my opinion, you can only rely on grit and defense and out-coaching the other team and Jimmy Butler being greater than for so long, because there's too many talented teams in the East. I don't think Miami is better than Chicago. I don't think Miami is definitively better than Chicago. Let me put it like that. I don't think they're better than Milwaukee. I don't think they're definitively better than the Knicks. I don't think they're better than Cleveland. I don't think they're definitively better than Brooklyn. But Brooklyn is the one team I would probably take them over. I don't think they're better than Philly. I don't think they're definitively better than Atlanta. Atlanta just beat them. I don't think they're better than Boston. So, and the biggest reason I think this is, I'm pretty sure some people look at Miami's the best Miami could possibly be. And the biggest part of that would be the defense and Jimmy Butler going crazy, having everybody else having outer body experiences. But what if they play their best game against Boston's best game? Or against Atlanta, Philly, Brooklyn, Cleveland, New York, Milwaukee's best game? It's hard for me to take them over many of those teams because I just don't think they had a scoring capacity. And I will continue to say it. It's two dudes in the starting lineup for Miami that played way too many minutes and would not be starting for no other team that's not tanking. Gabe Vincent and Max Strus should not be starting on an NBA roster. And that's no shot at either one of them. They play hard, they work hard. They do not move the needle for wins and losses. If anything, they do more to lose a game because of how many open shots they miss, because of how many momentum shots they miss, because you have to rely on them to have an outer body type of experience to get any type of production out of them, because it's no in-betweens, in my opinion. They either have a bad game or they have a crazy game that you don't think will happen again. And when you're relying on them dudes to have one game a series or possibly, to me, it'll just get tricky. And so I don't think neither one of them two dudes should be starting at all. I don't think either one of them would be giving you big bench minutes on most teams, on most championship teams. Like, I'm looking at them and I'm looking at Golden State's bench and LA's bench. And I'm looking at a lot of these other benches. I'm looking at some of the worst benches, as a matter of fact, in my head. I don't know if Strus and Vincent even play on some of those benches. So, to me, that's one of Miami's biggest problems. The second biggest problem, when Bam Adebayo is your second best player all year, and you rely on him all year, and all year he played that center position and there's no problems. He defend, he rebound, he score. And then when you get to the playoffs and the games that matter, he don't do none of that. And now all of a sudden I hear excuses about his height and all these, they don't get him involved enough. Bam touched the ball just as much as anybody else on the team. It's what he decides to do with the ball. You see, for some reason, he become ultra passive in these playoff games. He did it last year against Boston. He did it against the Hawks. He did it games before Boston. Like, this thing where he just get the ball at the top of the free throw line, stand there and wait to make a pass or to drop step or take a bad shot. And most of the time, bad shot is all the way in the back of his repertoire because it's usually a good shot. He could just take the jump shot, but most of the time he won't take it. He'll just wait till the defender come back on him. It's torturous to watch, to be completely honest with you. And then another Miami problem with Jimmy Butler wanting to be a passive player. It just don't work when you have the teams that you play against being able to score the way they can score right now. And Bam being passive, Jimmy being passive, having to rely on a 30-something-year-old Kyle Lowry, having to rely on a Tyler Hero, who, listen, is a good scorer, but is not some next world scorer. He still need them two dudes to go off in order for his points to make a difference. And so, to me right now, what I see from Miami is a team that just don't have enough talent. To be completely honest with you, I just don't think it's enough talent. I don't think Bam is aggressive enough for Miami to do what they've been doing. I think Chicago could win this game just off of the simple fact if they scores are hitting shots and they being aggressive, they'll probably have a great chance against Miami. Miami, of course, will make a run because I expect Jimmy Butler to be on 10. I expect Kyle Lowry to be on 10. But you just don't know what you're going to get from Bam, to be completely honest with you. And that's being nice because I actually think I know what you're going to get from him based off of what I've seen. But I'm trying to be nice. And then when you got OKC, Minnesota, I'm taking OKC. What a season for OKC. They was projected to win 20 games, bro. They was projected to win 20 games. And I got 40 of them things. And they beat the Pelicans last night. Shout out to Brandon Ingram. Shout out to the Pelicans. The Pelicans, I completely forgot they wasn't playing with Jose Alvarado, who would have made a huge difference last night. And of course, Zion. Missing Zion is a huge thing. I'm going to just say this. I'll probably expand on it in another video. I think the Pelicans should try to seek a trade for Zion and build around Brandon Ingram. I also think they should trade CJ McCollum. But I heard that he had a hand injury, CJ. That's why he struggled last night. So I don't know if that's true or not. Regardless, I think the best path for the for the Pelicans is to try to build around Brandon Ingram. Because if you end up losing Zion, but then a couple years later you lose Brandon Ingram too, you find yourself in a tricky situation because the only person you're caring about is Zion. So I think the dude who done been there carrying the team without the legitimate help around him, without the team actually being built around him, Brandon Ingram, I think you got to go out there and start legitimately building around Brandon Ingram. And if Zion get healthy enough to be a game changer, that's just a positive. But if Zion continue to go down like he done every year, I just think it's crazy to have Brandon Ingram on the roster and not build a legitimate team around him. Especially after I saw how OKC was allowed to play last night. When they allowed to play as aggressive as they played on Brandon Ingram and not really get called for it too much, but then Shai Gilgeous coming down the other side of the court and ticky-tack calls is getting called for him, you got to build a better team around Brandon Ingram and take the pressure off of him so he don't have to deal with that type of nonsense. But nonetheless, the thing that I saw from OKC is what a phenomenally built team. They play together. They trust their coach. The coach clearly make a difference. That's another thing I saw from the Pelicans and OKC. Two well-coached teams. Two very great coach teams. Undermanned in a lot of aspects. really surviving off of having a great player. The difference to me is OKC done built this team better so around Shea Gill than this team done been built around Brandon Ingram, because I think this team really is more so built for Zion, even though I don't even think that the team is really greatly built, because I don't even think they had the shooters that they should have to put around Brandon Ingram and whatnot. But nonetheless, I like the way OKC is built. I don't know how far they could get, but I am picking them to beat Minnesota. I don't know if they win a game against, I don't know if they win a series against Denver. I think they definitely can win a game against Denver. But the thing with OKC is they so small. That's going to be their problem against Denver. Jokic is going to eat against Denver, against OKC. And Karl Anthony Towns could eat if their game plan is for him to attack down low. But I think I'm taking OKC, bro. I just liked what I saw from OKC last night. So I'm taking OKC. Meaning, I think Milwaukee will end up playing Chicago and Denver will end up playing OKC. Now, with that being said, let's get into the matchups. So, the first round matchups in the, matter of fact, I'll just start. We're going to start in the East. I'll start with Milwaukee, Chicago. I actually think it's going to be a 6-game series. Now, listen, hear me out. Hear me out. I understand Milwaukee is a great team. They got Giannis. I think Giannis is probably the best player in the NBA. However, Milwaukee just have these games where you can't really explain it. Where it's at times, and it don't happen a lot, but it do happen, where it feel like it's 2 on 5, where nobody on Milwaukee can seem to score. And maybe this is a great matchup for Milwaukee because Chicago do this shit too, where they just don't seem to know how to score. And it'll be petty. That's why I'm not picking Chicago to win the series. I'm picking Milwaukee because when it does happen, you still have Giannis. And I understand you got DeMar DeRozan also, but Giannis done took a team to the championship and done won that thing. So I got more faith in him. But I think Chris Middleton done probably fell to the 3rd best player on Milwaukee, to be completely honest with you. If I had to rank the dudes on Milwaukee, it's going to sound crazy when I'm about to say what I'm about to say. It's Giannis, it's Drew, and Drew, I'm talking about slightly Drew over this next player. And then Brook Lopez. I think Brook and Drew are better players and mean more for this team at the moment than Chris Middleton. I just can't rely on Chris Middleton at this point. Not to mention, I don't know how Brook Lopez done been as good as he done been in every stop he done. Like, if you really go and look at Brook Lopez's career, this dude done been a great player every stop. He rebound, he play defense, he run the floor, he hustle, he score, he can shoot, like he can pass, he a selfless player, ultimate team guy, say the right things, gonna protect his dudes. Like, why would you not want Brook Lopez on your team, bro? Like, this dude is legitimately the ultimate team player. He done been a stud every step of the way. I love Brook Lopez. Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And I ain't gonna lie. At times, I'll be saying he the 2nd best player on Milwaukee, but I know he not. But Brook Lopez, well, I can make an argument. But listen, I'm going to take Milwaukee to ultimately win this series because I do believe that because Chicago struggled to shoot the 3, it could be tough when Milwaukee can have them games, man, where they just lighten your ass up from downtown. I like Jay Crowder, the addition of Jay. I like the defense for really both teams, to be completely honest with you. I think both teams could play great defense. I just don't know who on Chicago is stopping Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know who doing it. So for that reason, oh, you know what? Let me write these things down, bro. Let me write them down. I'm taking Milwaukee in 7. The only reason now I'm taking not in 7. I'm taking them in 6. Now, some people out there might think, oh, Milwaukee gonna win this in 5. It's a great chance they could win this in 5. I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost said 5, but I'm going to give DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic a chance at being great. If they play A games and everybody else follow them, they can take this series to 6. They can take it to 7. I just think that's something you need Lonzo Ball to do. With Alonzo's ability to rebound, defend, run the floor, run the offense, pass the ball, shoot the 3. You missing so much. And if anything, to me, Lonzo is worth 1 game. And so that's why I think it's going to be 6. And shout out to Lonzo, bro. I hope he can heal up and play NBA ball again at his level of play. Cleveland New York Knickerbockers. I'm taking Cleveland. But I'm taking Cleveland in 7. People sleeping on this series. But let me tell you something. Donovan Mitchell, proven playoff performer, always shows up in the playoffs from the moment he stepped foot in the playoffs. You got these other young dudes in Cleveland who I know gonna step up. You got what's my man? Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson coming off of a great playoff run last year. This series got all the makings of games that will go down to the wire every game. It might be a blowout or two here or there, even though I just said every game. It might be one blowout per side. But I'm telling you right now, don't sleep on Cleveland, New York. This is going to be a fun series. 2 franchises who was dying to be in the playoffs. I know that Cleveland have been to the playoffs recently, and so has New York, I think 2 years ago. Nonetheless, both of these crowds is going to be amped to be in the playoffs. I think these are going to be amazing series. This could end up being one of the best series in the first round, to be completely honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. This could end up being one of the best series, personally, in my opinion. Because I don't think it's outrageously bad mismatches everywhere. I think the matchups is pretty standard. I really think this could be high scoring, great basketball. But I'm taking Cleveland in 7 because of Donovan Mitchell. Philly, Brooklyn. I'm taking Philly in 5. I do believe Brooklyn will somehow scratch out a win. No, I don't. I think I'm taking Philly in 4. Philly should win this series in 4. As much as the talent and how hard the dudes on Brooklyn play, shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie, shout out to Cam Johnson, shout out to Mikal Bridges. I just don't think that they have that dude that can stop Joel Embiid or James. Well, they could probably put bodies on Harden. I just think ultimately with all the talent on Philly, with Doc Rivers, with Joel Embiid being an MVP candidate this year, possibly being the MVP, it's hard for me to pick Brooklyn against this Philly squad. I'm not going to lie. I don't think Brooklyn going to win a single game. I'm going to take Philly in 4. I tried to be respectful to Brooklyn and give them 1 game, but then I kept reading them rosters off in my head, and I'm like, nah, it's not going to happen. Boston, Atlanta. This going to be a fun series, too, because I think people think this is going to be a blowout series. I think people think this is going to be a 4 or 5 game series. But for some reason, I don't know why people disrespecting Trae Young. When you talk about his defense, I get it. He can't play defense. But it's not even, and I understand the people who say he don't really try hard on defense. At the end of the day, Trae Young has been a revelation for the Falcons, for the Hawks, since they've gotten him. Trae Young is far away. He is far and away the furthest thing from Atlanta's biggest problem. That's crazy to me that people think that Trae Young is like, trade him. What? This dude done got this team to a conference finals without the type of talent around him that some of these other teams have, because he don't have a Jaylen Brown around him. He don't have a Marcus Smart around him. He don't have a Jason Tatum on his team. So to me, I don't understand the disrespect for Trae Young. To me, Trae Young done been a cold playoff performer since he done stepped foot in the playoffs. That's why I look at him, Luka, and Mitchell as 3 players who done been top notch since day one stepping into the playoffs. And I understand this other performance, but I'm going off of the young dudes right now. So I don't understand the hate for Trae Young. I really don't. I love Ice Trae. If you listen to the channel, you already know I fucks with Ice Trae. So I don't understand the trade thing. If you want to trade him, go ahead and trade him over there to LA. Go ahead and trade him to the Lakers. I would come back and full-heartedly support the Lakers again if they go get my boy Trae. But they take on Boston. And I do have Boston winning this series. But this is my upset alert series. Because I'm telling you right now, Atlanta can upset Boston. Yeah, for some reason, y'all don't understand. If Atlanta get off on one and start shooting the fuck out the basketball and hitting all those shots, I trust them more than I trust Boston shooting the ball. Not to mention, you think that Boston can rebound? Atlanta can rebound. Clint Capella going nuts. He just gave 21 rebounds to he just did that on Bam. And somebody was talking about how tall Bam isn't. Bro, Clint Capella's not a 7-footer, bro. Some people would say he an undersized center. What are we talking about right now? So, unless I'm just tripping. But I'm going to take Boston in 6. I really wanted to say 7. But Atlanta's defense could fuck them up in this series if they don't come in. What do I want to do? What the ink stink poop fart? Yeah, I'm doing Boston at 7. Bro. That's how much faith I got in Trae Young and the Hawks, bro. But if it was any team that I thought could be upset in this first round, it's Atlanta. It's at Boston because of how great I think Atlanta could end up playing. And then when we move over here to the Western Conference, Denver, OKC. I'm sorry, OKC. It was a great season, but I am going to take Denver in 5. I do think OKC will end up getting one of these wins at home. I don't think Denver is the type of team that'll go in and sweep a team. They might have swept a team in the past, and I'm not thinking of it, but they just don't strike me as we're going to go in there. They actually strike me as a team that could get upset, just not by OKC. I don't think OKC got nobody to defend Jokic. And Jokic could just straight up dominate this series. So I'm taking Denver in this series. However, again, great year for OKC. If I was a superstar, I would consider OKC. I understand they're not the biggest market, but they already got Gilchrist there. The team done shown that they can build a good man. Now I just really like the OKC organization, and I've been critical of them in the past, but I like this organization and how they run things, how they do things, the coaching selection, all this. Memphis, LA. This was one of the toughest series for me to pick. This might have been the toughest series for me to pick because logically you would pick Memphis because they're the higher rated seed. Here's my problem. If Anthony Davis and LeBron James are playing phenomenal back, and I know what I just saw from the Timberwolves. However, if all the role players for LA are doing their jobs and LeBron and AD is from go, they go off, I just don't think, for one, I definitely think this is a 7-game series. And I'm going to, oh boy, these dudes going to piss me off if they lose. I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to pick the Lakers because I just don't think that Memphis can. If Memphis have to deal with LeBron and AD playing great, I just don't think they can match that. Because if LeBron and AD playing great, that means they're not just playing great offense. That means they playing great defense too. And if they playing great defense, then you really relying on calls if you Memphis to not get shut down offensively. Because I don't think Memphis got the greatest half-court offense. I think they run the ball. They run the floor really well. Ja Morant is a great isolation scorer. However, the lack of, and I know they got dudes who can shoot, but I just think if Anthony Davis and LeBron James and the dudes around them play good, Anthony Davis and LeBron James is good enough to, if they play great, they can beat Memphis. So I think I got to take LA in 7. That's why I'm leaning. Sacramento, Golden State, I'm taking the Warriors in 6. I understand how bad the defense is for Sacramento. I get that. I get it. That's why I didn't say Golden State in 7. I took a game off for it. So I don't need to hear about that. I just think Sacramento's crowd is going to be the first game. If Sacramento don't win the first game, this will probably be a 5-game series. But if they can win the first game, I definitely think this will be a 6-game series because if Sacramento win the first game, I think they will also win the second game because the crowd will be so livid and so hype and so crazy about getting back to this point that I don't think Steph will be rattled by it, but I do think it'll be some Warriors who don't step up to the moment, even though they done been in this situation a couple times. We saw Draymond get rattled in Boston last year. I think that's the type of atmosphere it could be in Sacramento. But after Golden State go back home, get both of their wins in their building, I do think then guys will have settled in and they'll be ready to go back on the road and take that win in Sacramento. And so I do think they'll win 4 straight after losing the first 2. But the biggest reason I cannot pick Sacramento, as much as I like Sacramento's offense and don't care too much about the defense, the biggest reason I can't take him is because Steph Curry. Steph Curry, this is probably why I can't take Memphis. I just cannot pick against LeBron, Steph, when the opposing player on their side is not as established or nowhere near as established. If Ja Morant had 1 championship, I'd take Memphis because they played better this year. They clearly done been the better team, and they got a champion on their team who know how to put LeBron away when he got him down. If Sacramento, I understand they might got a dude who done been on a championship team on there, but they leaders have never led teams to championships. So it's hard for me to pick against them when the series get tough and things ain't going the right way. Steph Curry done been through this. Even though all his soldiers done been through it too. I was finna say Dre, Clay, Andre, and them boys, Looney. But I know what to expect from Steph Curry in those situations. So it's hard for me to take Sacramento in a series against Golden State when they've never been there and done that, and Golden State have. But because of my respect for the season that they have, even though they only won 6 more games than Golden State or 4 or 5 more games than Golden State, I am taking Golden State in 6. Phoenix, Clippers. Now I know for a lot of people this is the one. This is the juicy one. Not for me. Like I told you, there's a lot of series that I'm looking forward to more so than this one. But this should be a great series. The biggest reason I'm not excited for this one is I just don't know what to expect. Is Chris and KD going to remain healthy and stay healthy? The Clippers aren't healthy. They don't have Paul George. He probably won't play in this entire first series. So what do they do to make up for not having him? Like I think I'm taking Phoenix in 6. But do Paul George come back in the series? Like, I just don't know what to expect from this Phoenix Clippers series. So I'm taking Phoenix really by default because I just don't know what condition the Clippers going to be in. Is Kawhi healthy? Is it an injury that we don't know about yet? Like, I just don't know what to expect from the Clippers, bro. And so for that reason, I'm taking Phoenix in 6. I actually think the team that beat Phoenix will probably play Phoenix either first or last. And the reason being is the chemistry could be fucked right now. And then when they make it to the end, they might not have a healthy team as could be. Or even if they are healthy, they'll be exhausted and they don't have a bench. I do not like Phoenix's bench at all. And that could be a problem if they're going up against a Golden State, LA, Memphis, Denver. Not necessarily Denver. Probably not necessarily Memphis either because I think they would end up out shooting Memphis. But against Golden State and LA, those are the 2 teams that Phoenix could run into some trouble with. I even think LA, the Clippers could be a problem for them, but the Clippers don't have Paul George. So I just don't know what to expect from that. But with that being said, we finished this thing in under 30 minutes, bro. Look at us. I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You could be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody today. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.